Now then, lads, you may be thinking, swear I've seen that car before, because you have seen that car before. This is ThatFezGal's Fiesta, and she has pretty much took over the YouTube scene recently with this car, and I'm going to see, you know, if it's as good as the videos make out.
Faster! Now instantly it just looks so much more aggressive than a normal Fiesta. It is wrapped. I'm not sure the colour. I first thought it was painted, but it actually is a wrap, so it's a really good job wrap. The only way you can tell it's wrapped is by looking at the red door sills. And I like with the Fiestas that she's got, it's such a little touch that makes such a difference to the front of the car. She just took a number plate off the front. It basically looks like a whole mouth now, and it looks so aggressive. I love the little black stylings here. Now, I feel like with the Fiestas, you have got to do little touches make them different because there are so many of them about. And that is basically the thing that I really don't like about the Fiestas. Straight off the bat, I'm going to get it out of the way just to be clean with everybody. Personally, there are too many about for me and they are too popular. That's personally why I wouldn't own one. Just because I feel like the market is overpopulated with these cars. Now, that doesn't go to say they're bad cars. I've never driven one. I'm so intrigued to drive one. Obviously, I have drove this for about 10 minutes trying to find a spot without bloody wind because it's so bloody windy. But of what I have drove, it's pretty impressive. Now, the first thing you see before you even get in the car is the huge Recaros, absolute huge Recaros. And when you first sit in them, they're probably one of the most huggy seats I've ever been in. This is actually, I mean, I like to think myself as like a perfect size, not perfect size guy, so get out your arse, Lee. You know, a pretty average size guy in a way. And these shoulders are squeezing my lats together, they're squeezing my back together. It's great in the corners. I always feel like I'm in a little bit of a go-kart just for how well it, you know, you're squeezed in. Now this is going to be a difficult review because every time I've reviewed Fords, every Ford I've been in, and just the way I know Ford, they're very good at pleasing everybody. They're very good at not making mistakes in a way. You know, when you get inside, they're not overly whelming impressive. Like the interior, you know, it's okay and it's nice. It's nothing you get in and think, oh fuck, I want that. It's not like a Lamborghini or anything, or you know, it's not got that touch where you think, oh, I really want one of them. But I just get the feeling every Ford do very well to please everybody, and it's really hard to critique some of their things that they do. That may sound negative in that sense, but it's in a really good way. They build everything really well in a way where, you know, nothing can piss you off in a way. So when I'm sitting in the interior, there's nothing that gets on my nerves. The steering wheel's, you know, a decent size. The gear knob's in the right place. The pedals are perfectly apart. The power button's there. It's not in a stupid place where you can't bloody see it. You know, and the traction control button's there. Everything's just very well thought out in a way. Now the first thing I don't necessarily like in the interior is the radio. I just feel like the radio is a little bit out of place. It looks like it's designed of some sort of early 2000s, you know, push button Nokia phone. I'm not a big fan of the radio, and the way it sits, it's sitting upwards where when sunlight's hitting on it, it's it kind of deorientates you, whatever that bloody word is, and it kind of, you know, you can't really see what you're pressing in a way. So imagine if you were driving and it was a sunny day, you wouldn't know what the bloody hell you're doing. Now the next thing I'm gonna note, I feel like this is the era where Ford tried to make things difficult for the owner to do themselves. For example, if we come over to the boot. Now you think to change a bulb, there's a bolt there and a bolt there, that should just come off. No, they actually hide a wing nut. Sorry Cait for revealing everything in your boot. You didn't think I'll be going back here. But you have to pull a carpet back, which doesn't seem like it's going to be carpeted. And there's actually a wing nut right at the back under there, which Cait has removed. But if you did not know that was there, you would never get into that rear light. And just little things like taking this side headlight out, you're changing this side bulb, you can't get to it, you've got to take the full headlight off, you've got to pry the bumper a little bit off. It's just a little bit difficult. They've just tried to make things a little bit too difficult and unnecessary. And the third one I was going to note was that in the earlier models, they actually didn't have a fuse box diagram in the manual. But obviously I've just looked, and this one, it must be the facelift, they must have changed it and actually put the fuse box diagram in the fuse box. The earlier models did not have that. They only had the graph of which fuse does what with numbers, but the problem was they never had any numbers on the fuse box. So it was basically impossible to find a fuse. But hats off to Ford,
you fixed your mistake, well done, because that is necessary.
Now I know from previous Fiestas, these handles were a pain. Whereas the cable was so loose, and this is made out of flimsy plastic, which it still is, but it's kind of, it takes a lot less effort now to do it. On the older Fiestas, you'd snap that so easily just by trying to get the seat forward. I feel like with this one, they've obviously loosened the snap of the cable, so it comes off nice and so you don't have to yank it so hard on the older Fiestas, which is good, So enough of me being very picky about the interior and little Ford things. Let's get on to see how this car drives, because apparently, you know, the internet thinks it's one of the best hot hatches around. Sorry, Cait, but your air freshener's getting in the way of the video, mate. Fucking hell, what have you done to this? Now, as I was saying before about the steering wheel, normally I get in cars, and having an aftermarket steering wheel myself, because I like the small steering wheel feel. Normally I get in cars and I just think this is way too big, it's way too light steering. Now, part of that is because A, it is actually too big, and B, is because I've got such a small deep dish steering wheel. But stepping in this, I feel like the steering wheel is actually the perfect size for the car. Now I can already feel, as soon as I go around the corner, the car's pulling me back centre, which is really good in a lot of cars, especially a lot of older style cars. It doesn't do that. It will, you know, it will try to put the wheel straight, but it would always kick it off a little bit kinkered, really, in a way. So the car will never want to put you back straight, whereas this, it will snap you back straight in position, which is good, you know, when you're going around little tight corners, so you don't have to flick your arm around as fast as possible. You can, in a way, just let go of the steering wheel and it will just flick you back straight. Now, another thing I can feel is the gearbox is just so direct. I've never missed a gear, and it almost feels like it's got magnets in each selector, so you can just, it always feels like you can just tap it and then the selector will just grab the gear. It feels really smooth, really direct. It just feels so, oh bloody no, a tight road or what? There's no sort of jump in revs when you downshift, or there's no sort of engine trying to keep up with the clutch. There's none of that. It just feels so smooth. The gearbox feels great. So the car is running 240 brake-out horsepower. Cait says she's not 100% sure of the torque figure, but jumping in it straight away, it definitely feels like a quicker than 240. If I had to guess the power of this, it would be around 260, 270. So obviously she's just got an exhaust, intake, induction, ITG intake, and basically just a remount, so nothing too major. I love the responsiveness. When you get a lot in these, my car included, when you get a lot in these higher horsepower cars and older style cars, you feel like they rely on the turbo a lot of the time to get that power. So for example, my Subaru, if you've ever been in a 2 litre Subaru with non-turbo, it's very, very slow, and they rely heavily on the turbo. So when you get these newer cars and they've got smaller engines that can pick up pretty quick, and they squeeze every inch of horsepower from the engine, then you know that you only need that turbo just for a little bit of extra punch. So you're not getting in a car where you think, oh, it's pretty slow, we'll bang the turbo on, we'll wait till the turbo kicks in, then you've got power. It's just instant in the gears. That's what's so good. That's what's so good about it. I mean, you can feel, you know, the lack of the torque when you're on a straight road. Turbo kicks in, and then you don't really get much after that. You get a nice instant torque. You don't get that, you know, that straight linear curve that you will see when you're pushing a lot more bigger turbo. But around the corners is absolutely amazing. You feel the power between 2.5 grand up to about 4.5. Anything after that, it just feels like, you know, the turbo's maxed out and you're not really getting that much increase in torque there. But right between that peak spot at 2.5 to 4, that's really fun. If you can keep it between them, between that rev range, it's great fun. And it, like, I'm cornering a hell of a lot quicker than I think I am, because it sticks to the road so well. I thought I was going around that corner about 35, but look there, I'm going around about 45, 50. So the handling is amazing. Now, a good thing to note is I've just noticed she's averaging 34 miles to the gallon, which is incredible. That's incredible. That's obviously, there's another benefit of, you know, having a 1.6 turbo. You know, when you're not in boost all the time, you can get that the fuel efficiency. 35 miles an hour. I don't know how Cait drives, but even if you were a granny all the time, it's difficult to hit anywhere near 35, especially in a car over, you know, near touching 250 brake. I mean, that range between 2 grand and 4 grand, oh, it's fun. Because I come from a lot of, you know, bigger turbo cars where you're only hitting boost around about 4 grand. So it's not the best around the corners. Now, this feels like it's probably pushing around about 250 foot-pound. So when you've got that straight away out the corner, you don't need to be fanning about at what gear you're in. It doesn't necessarily matter, because you put the foot down and the turbo's spooled within a couple of seconds. Sometimes the responsiveness is what you want, because that's what you feel. When you put your foot down and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, you build up the suspense, and then sometimes it's not as fun, because when the torque hits you, you're already waiting for it, you're already expecting a big thing, and sometimes it's not as fun. Whereas this, you know, you've not got any time to build up some suspense for the turbo, because by the time you put your foot down, it's already there. You think, oh god, it's there already. It's kind of like watching a scary film. When you watch a scary film, when you're waiting for a scary film for months and months and months, and you come to watch it, it's like, oh, it wasn't even fucking scary. But then, like, when you put on some random thing on Yiffy, and it's like grave encounters, you think, oh, it's shit, this is one of the scariest things you've ever watched. Yes, it's very popular, and I feel like the market is a little bit, you know, overpopulated with them. But now I can kind of see why. You know, obviously they're not your car you get into and interior-wise, and you think, oh my god, that's like the nicest interior ever. But I don't think I've ever been in a car which does that. But the driving experience of this is it has pleasantly surprised me. So I am going to end the video there. I feel like if I do any more, I'm just going to end up repeating myself. Obviously, you have seen Cait on YouTube before, but if you haven't, I will leave links on the screen and in the description for Cait's YouTube. So hats off to you, Cait, for what you've been doing in the past month on YouTube. The views you've been getting are amazing, so hats off to you. And thanks for letting me drive your car. Thanks for having it late on the channel, but someone's going to get it eventually, so it's your boy Lockwood have to step in and get there first. Don't know what sort of a flyby that was, Cait. You let off the throttle past me. Do you even know how to fly by?